specific hiring requirements by combining personalized service from local staffing experts with an advanced matching technology based on 70 years of successful placements. For highly skilled accounting, finance, IT, legal, marketing, or administrative staffing, count on Robert Half. We'll find you productive, engaged employees. Learn more at roberthalf.com/radio.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. President Trump is confident he won't need a plan B to replace Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. At the White House today, Trump refused to talk about a backup and said the federal judge has been treated very badly so far during this confirmation process.
I watched those senators on the Democrat side, and I thought it was a disgrace, and partially because I know them. I know them too well, and you know what? They are not angels.
The president's calling a trilateral trade agreement between the U.S., Mexico, and the newly added Canada a historic event. Canada agreed to the deal just hours before the deadline last night. Las Vegas is dimming its iconic bright lights today in honor of the 58 people who were killed in the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history. 1 year ago today, gunman Stephen Paddock opened fire on a crowd of concert goers at the Route 91 Harvest Festival, injuring over 400 people. It's still unclear what motivated Paddock. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
This segment is sponsored by Tammy Sutherland of Coldwell Banker Kivett Teeters Realty, where she makes it her business to put happy people in happy homes. It's Tammy Sutherland's passion to list your house and put you in just the right house that you could call home.
She made so much extra effort to sell our house and make sure that we understood every step of the way. Tammy always had our best interests at heart.
I didn't think we'd ever find a house we loved, but with Tammy's help, we did. Now I get to mow the lawn every weekend. But then again, that's why we had kids. Hey, Tyler!
Tammy did way more than we ever expected in a real estate agent. Without Tammy, we would still be renting.
So if you want your perfect house, contact Tammy Sutherland at Coldwell Banker Kivett Teeters Realty in Yucaipa, across from Yucaipa High School. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, it's homesbytammy.net or on Facebook at facebook.com/Realtor Tammy Sutherland at 909-556-2094 for Realtor Tammy Sutherland, and we thank her for her support.
Are you having trouble sleeping? Are you always tired and worn out? Is it affecting your work and personal life? Well, South Pacific Sleep Lab can help you out. South Pacific Sleep Lab provides a personal study of your sleep patterns. With their trained specialists, they will diagnose your sleep habits and will give you a prognosis for getting a great relaxing night of sleep. South Pacific Sleep Lab has locations throughout Southern California, including Fontana, and will provide transportation to any of their locations at no cost to you. To find out more, give them a call at 844-SAD-5050. That's 844-SAD-5050. South Pacific Sleep Lab. Start resting easy and sleeping sound today.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
Herb Dodell.
Oh, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You know, one of the things that we try to do on the show is to be real interesting. And the last news cycle has had pretty much only about Kavanaugh. And people are making inquiries of me, asking me what I think as a judge is going to happen.
What do you think is going to happen, Judge? I'm making an inquiry right now.
I really don't know, but I'll tell you what the options are.
Okay.
I'll tell you what the chances are. I can't predict the outcome because I don't know what the results of the investigation is. But, you know, the purpose of the show is to provide the public with information so they have a better understanding of what's going on. And anybody that watched the television reporting of the two basic interviews, testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, knows what happened. But what do you do? How do you assess? What is that hearing? Is that a trial? Are there presumptions? Are there people talk about presumptions of innocence? Does that really apply this is really not a case. There's no general application of providing the same rules of evidence that you would have in a criminal case or even in a civil case.
Yeah,
there's no criteria, and there's no burden of proof. We have no idea.
Yeah.
And so what we try to do is we try to mix legal issues with other issues. It's not a political show. I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. I have no idea how this is going to end up, but I do know how to evaluate things, having been questioning people for many, many years in three capacities. One as a DA, one as a defense lawyer, and as a plaintiff's lawyer in civil cases. And I've heard lots of people who had contradictory stories in front of me, and I have to decide who to believe. So credibility is one of the most important features, and I'm going to talk about some of the legal bases in terms of what jury instructions sound like, because that gives you a guideline of how things really work. So I want to provide information so that the public, in accordance with our progress here of making the concept audience participation, the audience will participate in making the decision, because this show is airing before the outcome of the investigation. But I do want to say that I applaud Senator Flake and Senator Murkowski and Senator Collins and Senator Manchin, because this is the right thing to do, to have an investigation. How do you come to a conclusion when you don't talk to the witnesses? I mean, even as DAs, we've made sure to talk to whoever it is that was recipient to whatever the event was, because you have to know. And one of the most important considerations, and I think is significant, that President Trump found Dr. Ford to be credible. I found her to be credible too. As far as Judge Kavanaugh is concerned, the jury is still out on that issue. And he's made a lot of statements. It may very well be that he was telling the truth, maybe not. But there's really three outcomes, and you can count them. There's three potential outcomes of this investigation. One, they're going to find that her allegations are corroborated, even though corroboration is not a necessary ingredient, because her testimony is evidence in and of itself. Whether you believe it or not is another story. The second possibility is that they'll find none of it happened. And the third possibility is they'll find that he didn't tell the truth, or he didn't recall things, or whatever it may be, somewhere in the middle. So you get down to the legal concept called materiality. Oftentimes it's referred to as collateral. Witnesses will oftentimes make mistakes in cases on not important issues. Here you have two real events. The first event is, did the assault take place? Now, there's three for sure witnesses and a bunch of possibly supplemental witnesses who were in the house at the time this allegedly took place. So the first issue is, did it happen? She was pretty specific. She had a lot of details, a narrow stairway up to the second floor. She was pretty specific, and she came across as credible. He says it never happened. The key here is going to be this guy, Mark Judge. Is he going to remember anything? He was admittedly a guy with a big drinking problem. Maybe he doesn't remember it all either. We have no way of telling. So the bottom line is going to depend, in this case, I'm calling it a case, on an issue of morality. That's why I was so pleased that there's going to be an investigation, because it's going to come down to people voting their conscience. You know, Flake somehow had a strong religious background. He was a Mormon missionary, and I think this touched him. And I'm not so sure he is going to vote for Kavanaugh if evidence turns up that he wasn't telling the truth on important issues. So it's not only whether the event happened, it's whether the depiction that he gives is really confirmed by anybody. And there's lots and lots of witnesses who described his conduct over the years, and that seems to be inconsistent with what he said. The one thing that troubled me was I have not made up a decision. My job, and I guess I take it home with me, is to evaluate things, only to evaluate and come up with a conclusion when everything is all in. And that means dealing with admissible evidence. And so for the moment, the jury is still out. I have no idea. But I was troubled by the statement that this was a conspiracy by the left-wing radicals and the Clintons. That didn't make any sense because there's certainly no evidence to support any of that. Although Roger Stone, who we interviewed last week, and if you missed it, I suggest you go back and you listen to it because he had some very interesting ideas. Some of his principles have just that kernel bit of truth to them. They say, you know what, maybe. But the one thing that Roger said, in fact, he said it in the first interview we had with him a couple months ago, he said basically that they're all in it together. The Democrats and the Republicans are all in this together. It's just one big conspiracy. In fact, when I said to him last week, I said, well, one of the campaign promises was they were going to drain the swamp. And I said, it sounds to me that they drained the swamp, but they just replaced it with another swamp. He says, no. If you remember his interview, he said, no, that's not true. They never changed. Same group. It's hard to believe looking at the animosity between these two groups and how closely divided they are, one vote, two votes, that's really true. It's hard to imagine these people conspiring to do anything together, especially not work together. And because the political differences are so dramatic between what the Republicans want for the base and what the Democrats want for their people, it's hard to imagine that there is any kind of deal that was made here by anybody because they can't agree on anything. So at the moment, we don't know where it's going. I'm very eager to hear what happens with the results of the investigation because if they find none of this happened, he should be confirmed because the president has the right under the Constitution to nominate people that he or she believes should be sitting in the Supreme Court, and that's part of our Constitution. I think now that our democracy is really at stake. I think this is a very serious issue because what are our representatives going to do? Are they going to put party over politics? Are they going to put party over what the public needs and what's good for the public? Or are they going to do the right thing, which is hold people to their burdens of being honest, decent, and justifiably appointed to a position like this? So it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out. But if they find that he had lied on material issues, again, using that word material, meaning not just inconsequential, and his testimony was also evidence, if it turns out that he was not telling the truth about his conduct in those years and what he was doing, then I think that this Senate is going to have to decide whether they want to vote their moral conscience or they're just going to just rubber stamp this as Mitch McConnell wants them to do. I was somewhat surprised by the president's conduct lately. He's been very quiet, very calm. Today he even said there should be a complete investigation. Everybody should dig into what's going on and come up with an honest conclusion. And you haven't heard the word Russia mentioned in a week. So we'll talk more about what we can expect right after the break.
AM KCAA.
Herb Dodell is a lawyer and a judge for the people. Having served as a Superior Court judge, presiding over more than 9,000 cases, he has witnessed firsthand how complicated and corrupt the legal system can be. His goal is to show how things really work in the legal system so that people can navigate the legal system in the best way for them. Many people often feel marginalized by the legal system and are uninformed about how to proceed when unfortunate circumstances arise in their life. Judge Herb will pull back the curtain, lift the veil, so people can truly understand their rights, have access to top legal personnel that they can trust, and have knowledge about how things work so they can make better choices. Judge Herb isn't just knowledgeable. His integrity and spiritual values are truly what make him different. He cares about democratizing access and information for all and desires to turn on the light so the people, you, can benefit. For more information, email the judge at askjudgeherb@gmail.com.
That's askjudgeherb@gmail.com.
Okay, welcome back. There's more to this than just the question of confirmation of a nominee for the Supreme Court. We're really facing, probably for the first time in a long time, the moral issues. There are principles of law which we apply, and I'm going to read you one, maybe two, that apply on a material sense. But there are also spiritual laws, which is honesty and integrity and things of that nature. That's what's at stake here. The question is going to become, at some point, whether or not you follow the line just to get it done, because that's the way your group works, or you stand up and you say, you know what, this is not right, if it turns out the evidence supports that, and say, we're not going to do this because our democracy really is at stake here. So when you talk about cases, going back to the law now, most of the time, cases are determined on credibility. Evidence, of course. You have absolute evidence that's significant. But credibility, many times you got a he said, she said kind of situation. Well, who do you believe? You don't really know. Well, the law in its infinite wisdom defined credibility. It defined several different ways of determining how credible a witness is, a witness or a party. One of the terms dealing with credibility deals with prior consistent statements, prior inconsistent statements, motive, interest, bias, and things of that nature. But one jury instruction, I went back to the old books and copied it down this morning because I wanted to be prepared, because I knew what the subject was going to be, because the inquiries this week have been remarkable. Since last week, more people have asked me what I think about the situation, and I tell them I don't know. I got some ideas, but I'm waiting for the outcome, because you always should wait for the end before you make a determination. But credibility in the jury instructions, the old jury instructions, because I had an old book, says, it's entitled Witness Willfully False. This is a quote. A witness false in one part of his testimony is to be distrusted in others. That is to say, you may reject the whole testimony of a witness who willfully has testified falsely as to a material point, unless from all the evidence you shall believe what the probability of truth favors his testimony in other particulars. So if you're able to impeach, and that's the word, by the way, for cross-examining somebody to affect their credibility, if you were able to impeach on material issues, that's what a jury would be instructed to disregard the rest of the testimony. And if you do that, you got one on one side and you got testimony on the other, which is not a credible group of testimony. Hearsay is admissible, by the way, because there is no burden of proof. There are no real presumptions. The presumption of innocence doesn't really apply to this kind of proceeding. It goes to the ultimate believability of a witness, but there's no such thing as the assumption or presumption of innocence. This is not a criminal case. There's no burden of proof other than what people are believing, and criminal cases require convincing evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. That would put Dr. Ford in a difficult position, proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. A second area of burden of proof is called clear and convincing evidence. That doesn't apply to most cases, probably 99% of them. It does apply to what cases involving punitive damages and willful conduct. There are certain things that you have to prove by clear and convincing evidence, and that is more than the lowest burden, or one of the lowest burdens, which is by a preponderance of the evidence. We've done this and discussed this in the shows dealing with trials. Preponderance of the evidence means more likely than not. There's even a lower burden, which is basically called prima facie. Prima facie means it looks like you put enough information here to at least make an inquiry, and it's not incredible and it's not credible, but it's like an inference. And that's probably where we are with this. With no burden of proof and no procedural assumptions or presumptions, it's going to depend on the believability both of these witnesses. And if it comes down to a swearing contest between the two of them, I think that President Trump was right. She was very, very credible. I watched it. In fact, I watched the repeat of it, the next day, because I really wanted to catch if I could see anything in there that would cause me to be concerned or disbelieving of whatever she was saying. I didn't find anything in there that was inconsistent. Gaps in memory are common. Psychiatrists will tell you that in traumatic events, sometimes you forget the little gaps. I thought she handled that extremely well when she talked about the hippocampus and various neutrons and everything. That was very believable, even though I don't know what that really means. But it sounded right to me. And so I didn't see anything in her story, which is evidence, hearsay or otherwise, that I found disbelievable or not believable. I wasn't the same with regard to some of the things that Judge Kavanaugh was saying. I thought that it was interesting in his references to this yearbook, and he had an interesting spin on what some of the terms meant. I don't know if they do or they don't. Maybe they do. Maybe Ralph does represent puking in the bathroom or wherever it is. Who knows? But if there are witnesses who come in and say, no, the devil's triangle doesn't mean, a card game or whatever, he's going to be adversely affected by his credibility being what it is. And so another rule of evidence, even though this is not an evidentiary proceeding, another rule of evidence is prior consistent statements. We look at, in evaluating evidence, credibility by using many tools that were provided, one of which is found in another jury instruction which talks about prior consistent statements. She testified that she disclosed this event to a psychiatrist or psychologist at least 6 years before Judge Kavanaugh was even mentioned for doing anything anywhere. And it would be strange for somebody just to go into an office not being reminded of any reason other than to talk about the subject matter at hand, which is the problem she was having with her husband, to tell that story. And he's got notes. Remember we talked about, Gary, the exception to the hearsay rule? We talked about the simple case that we had where somebody made notes of an event as it took place?
Yes, I do remember it.
Okay, well, the hearsay exception is if you make notes at or about the time the event is taking place, that is your custom and practice to do that, that the things that you said in your notes were true and accurate at the time, it comes in as a business record exception to the hearsay rule, which means it comes in. So his notes are relevant evidence that probably qualify if he's being examined by the FBI, and I would assume that they will be examining him at some point. The key guy, of course, is this guy, Mark Judge. He's in the position where he could really bury his old friend if he really wanted to. I don't know what the relationship is, but sometimes when people fall out and they have negative feelings about somebody else, they get even. I don't know if that's this guy or not. Originally, he said he didn't remember it, but not remembering it is not the same as some of the details that they're going to ask him about. When I was between college and law school, I worked for the government, and they sent me to Atlanta to teach me how to interrogate. So I learned interviewing techniques, and they show you ask this question first, you get them to say this, and then you go from this to something else and whatever. And it may have had an impact in my getting a job as a deputy DA, but I had that training on interview. These people who are going to be interviewing, they know how to do it. And they're going to get out of whatever they need to get out of based on their techniques. And it's going to be pretty hard for anybody to lie to them. And the bottom line is, if he does lie to them, that's perjury. That's a crime.
Well, didn't one of those people, Kavanaugh, for the woman Ford, lie to the Senate Judiciary Committee?
Who?
That's perjury, isn't it? Well, one of them wasn't telling the truth.
Well, one of them is telling the truth.
Well, one of them wasn't. One of them was, and one of them wasn't.
Maybe not, because
what? Oh, come on.
Assuming that the guy was really, really, really intoxicated, and he was really off the chart someplace, and the other guy was too. it may very well be that he didn't remember it.
No, I'm talking about when Christine Ford and Judge Kavanaugh both had completely different stories to tell the Senate under oath, penalty perjury. One of them lied. Guess what? Whatever comes out of this, she's not going to be found, and have to deal with this in a criminal way, and neither will he. So that whole thing with perjury and under the penalty of perjury, I think it's just a crock. I don't think it means anything.
Oh, the truth. In this case, it does. I must tell you that all the years I practiced full-time, all the years I practiced full-time, witnesses have lied, got caught lying, documents that were false and things like that. I never saw anybody ever prosecuted for perjury in connection with
There you go.
Never.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not a one time.
That's what I'm talking about. It's a joke. So when they say under the penalty of perjury, it's just a bunch of BS. Neither one of these two.
No.
Yes, neither one of these two, whoever's lying, whether it's the Ford or Kavanaugh, whoever's lying, because one of them's lying. Neither one of them's going to have to face criminal charges of perjury.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
Oh, come on.
I don't think anybody's going to ever prosecute him. She has no interest in the outcome. This is just what happens in her life.
They both swore under oath. Okay,
Yeah.
So one of them is lying. What I'm trying to say, Judge, is one of them is lying.
Maybe not.
So they're both. Hold on, they're telling completely different stories.
Yeah.
She said he sexually assaulted her, and he's saying it never happened. He doesn't even know the woman. So how could that be? How could that be? Technically, they're both telling the truth.
First of all, it's 37 years ago. Number one. Number two, he may have been so blotto that he didn't remember it. That's
he lied about that then. Then he lied about that because he says he never blacked out. Under the penalty of perjury, he said he never blacked out.
That's true, and that's a big problem for him because this guy, Mark Judge, could do him some real harm.
I know.
In fact, there are a lot of witnesses, from what I understand, and we're not privy, of course, to the investigation because you just never got to be privy to it. It'll leak at the end of the day. You can bet this is going to be like the dike in Amsterdam. The hole's going to break open. Somebody's going to release this report.
Of course.
No matter who.
Of course.
Somebody somewhere is going to release this report.
Well, the FBI's already interrogated Mark Judge.
Avenatti is probably one of those people, if he got involved in any of it. But he's milking it pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Like a cow.
This third person, it presents an interesting issue. We also have a doctrine in the law called relevance. The way the rule reads is everything is relevant unless shown to the contrary. If it's relevant, it comes in, subject to other evidentiary objections, of course. But the question is whether or not it's going to get in. Is it really relevant? This third person, Julie Swetnick, you have to ask the question why all of a sudden she shows up being represented by Michael Avenatti.
It's a joke.
I mean that if she was being represented by somebody in Pomona, different story. But this guy shows up. He's like Gloria. She shows up whenever there's a woman in any issue. There's Gloria. In fact, I always say to my wife sometimes when we see a thing involving a lot of women, I said, "Where's Gloria?"
Oh, she'll be there.
She'll get there.
She'll get there. All right. We got to take a break.
We'll talk more after the break.
All right. It's for the people. Judge Herb Dodell will be back after this.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM, KCAA.
In his book, From the Trench to the Bench, Judge Herb Dodell demystifies the legal system, including both civil and criminal, the lawyers, the judges, and the process. As a judge, former deputy district attorney, and criminal defense attorney, he knows the legal system. He has the inside information that you need to pick a lawyer, and he's here to give it to you. No matter what you're facing that makes you think you may need a lawyer, Judge Herb will shed valuable light on your situation and reveal your best options and many secrets of how the judicial system actually works. To find out more about how the legal system really works, you can get your copy of Judge Herb Dodell's eye-opening book, From the Trench to the Bench, at Amazon.com.
Let me get into the question of the breadth Now, how deep this investigation is going to go? They have like 6 days. They have about 6 days to do it all. I think they could do it. They could just marshal a sufficient force of investigators. They could probably do it.
They already interviewed They already interviewed Mark Judge and Maria Ramirez today. So
I think her name is Deborah Ramirez.
Deborah, whatever it is, I don't know.
I'm
could care less.
You know, I'm a nitpicker. Well, you know what? Her story. I don't know anything really about the facts, but interviewing her does make sense.
Let me ask you a question. Why does all this stuff come out like it is? It's just a political pawn. Listen, I don't like Kavanaugh's views. You know, I think he's going to be very conservative. I think he may help overturn Roe versus Wade, which I think is ridiculous. But, I mean, what the Democrats did by sitting on this since July and all these women coming out now and all it stinks, man. It really it smells.
I have no doubt that you're accurate about that.
Thank you.
However, she did ask for confidentiality, and she didn't want to be brought into this.
And guess what?
Or not, I don't know.
Dianne Feinstein could have went to Grassley and said, hey, I got this information. She wants to keep it under wraps. Let's investigate it. Okay, within the Judiciary Committee has its own investigation. Okay, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm just saying it's ridiculous. Listen, I don't like Kavanaugh. I hope he doesn't get nominated, which I think he will.
I think you're jumping to a conclusion.
Well, I think he will get nominated.
You know what?
But it stinks.
There's a very good chance that he won't be. You know why?
Yeah, tell me why.
Because there's a political ramification as well. It goes along with it.
Okay, what political ramification?
Women have never really stood up in the numbers that they're going to post now. When the Anita Hill thing came up in 1991, we lived in a different world.
Different time.
And men were treated differently and women were treated differently. And it was like the good old boys, and it was okay, and everybody got away with it. You rarely heard of any kind of real noise about women's rights. This year, you've heard a lot about women's rights.
Yeah.
Finally, women are standing up for equality that they didn't have before. And do you think that they're going to react favorably if the Republicans push through Kavanaugh when there's any evidence to support the allegations that she's making?
Well, you know what? I mean, you know, they did give him another week for the FBI investigation. So if they showed nothing and it's just hearsay and conjecture,
he should be confirmed.
He should be confirmed.
Whether you believe in his whether you believe in his political views or not, that's irrelevant. The Constitution provides for the selection of judges for the Supreme Court, and we need to follow the rules. Whether you like him or you don't like him, or you like him or you don't like him, not important. However, there also is a definition of high crimes and misdemeanors that are subjects of impeachment. And the reason is very simple. If you act that way anti-societally, then there has to be a penalty for it. So you're saying that she and he, one of them is lying?
Yes.
I'm not so sure about that.
Of course, one of them's lying, Judge. I mean, how can you not say that one of them's lying? I don't understand this. You sit on the bench. Hold on. You sit on the bench. You are a judge. You are a sitting judge. And you are stating here on your show for the people, Judge Herb Dodell, that one of them may not be lying, that they both may be telling the truth. So how can that be?
Well, that's where you look for corroboration. If you make a statement of something, like I don't remember, I have had many cases. In fact, I still see cases where people say, I don't remember.
He didn't say that. He said that he didn't even know her.
Well, that's another. See, that's a serious statement.
Exactly.
Let's assume for the moment that, it's like the hypothetical question. Let's assume for the moment that they bring in somebody who used to hang out with him. There was another witness, PJ something or something.
Well, Mark Judge or whatever it is.
And
PJ.
Says, yeah, we used to hang out at the beach together. He knew her, she knew him, or whatever it is. That's a serious impeachment. That is really serious because it goes to the heart of the issue. He's saying it wasn't me, it may have been someone else. I find that one a little hard to believe. Well, she probably suffered all these injuries, but it wasn't me. Well, who was it? Why did all of a sudden she mention that to the psychiatrist 6-8 years ago, whenever it was? That didn't really fly with me but I'm still listening to all of it. You got to hear it all.
I'm listening.
You can't if you made decisions based on initial impulses or instant reactions. You wouldn't be doing the job. I would never do that.
Well, you know what? The jury's out on this. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like, in a way that, she may not be telling the full truth, and in a way he's not telling the full truth. So who knows? It's just I don't know. It's just worn out from this stuff.
The term materiality, you can forget things that are not consequential, and that's understandable. You ask people what they did last week, they don't remember.
Yeah, but if you sexually assaulted a woman, you would remember that.
Not if he was a fall-down drunk. Might not remember that.
But he says he's never blacked out.
Yeah, well, he did say that. Well,
right?
That's another piece of impeachment that's potential.
Okay.
That's why I don't.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't agree with you when you say he's going to get confirmed. I don't know if he's going to get confirmed.
Oh, he's going to get confirmed.
I think if they come up with impeachment like we're talking about right now, which is he never blacked out, and he's got some people who said that he did. I think some of the people, I don't know if it was in Ramirez's case or Swetlick's case or whoever it is. The fact of the matter, there are people who are saying he was a sloppy drunk and he got belligerent.
Speaking of drinking, let's make a bet on this. What do you like to drink? What do you like to drink?
I like beer.
You like beer?
Just give me some beer.
And I still like beer. What kind of beer do you like, Judge? Let's bet a 6-pack on this.
I'm only kidding. I just started drinking beer about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, let's bet you always have beer when I go over there to shoot the YouTube videos. Who's drinking that?
The beer is for you.
Oh, it's for me. Shelly's getting that for me.
I was
Thank
never
you,
a beer
Shelly.
drinker. I'm like President Nixon. I like those gin martinis.
Okay, I'll bet you.
I have one with dinner every night.
Okay, I'll bet you your best bottle of gin. What do you like? What kind of gin do you like?
Actually, I like Tanqueray 10.
Okay, I'll get. Let's bet a bottle of Tanqueray 10 versus. I like tequila.
Okay.
All right, so I want Patron. Okay, let's bet. We'll bet
which
this.
Patron? Don't they make various grades?
The most expensive I can get. Since we're making this bet. No, I'm kidding. I don't care. Whatever Patron.
It's a negotiation.
You can pick. You can pick the.
It's like a settlement conference.
You can pick the Patron, but let's bet. I'll make a bet, and we'll bring the bottle.
So you want me to say he's not going to get confirmed?
You're saying
I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I'm saying I don't know whether he is or he's not.
You just basically said that you don't think he's going to be confirmed.
I don't. I think.
Okay, you just said it. Let's bet.
But that's just an opinion.
Okay, well, it's my opinion.
I'm not saying I concluded that.
Do you think? Hold on. Do you think? All right. Well, you think I know?
A shot.
Oh, come on.
No.
You don't want to make a bet on this?
No, I'll make a bet on it.
Okay, let's make a bet.
Just to show you that I'm happy to create this dialogue with you.
Jeez.
The fact of the matter is, it depends on whether they find anything.
Exactly.
Whether he gets confirmed or not.
Exactly.
And if they don't find anything, he will get confirmed, and you'll be absolutely right.
Okay.
And if they do find things which impeaches he doesn't fall down, or he doesn't black out, or he doesn't know her, or anything that's material, keep in mind, you got to talk about materiality. Then if they do that, the people who are in the Senate on the side of wanting to get him confirmed will have a hard time with the folks at home.
Okay, so
especially the women at home.
A bottle of gin versus tequila.
I think the political ramification here is unpredictable. And frankly, I'm not a political science or a pundit, but it seems to me that the president understands what's at risk here politically, and that's why it's the way it is.
Why do you think he's so calm?
Yes, I think that's
because
true.
He knows that if he shoots his mouth off about this, he doesn't know what the hell's going on here. Nobody really does. Okay.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. He
doesn't know if he doesn't know if because he said that she was very credible. Okay,
yeah,
but he's still backing Kavanaugh, so he's unsure. He's on the fence too. He goes, I don't know what the hell happened. The FBI is going to look it up, and whatever the FBI concludes, it's going to be the way it is.
He's between a rock and a hard place.
Exactly.
If he decides to pressure a withdrawal of the nomination or resignation or take out the effort to be appointed, he's going to be facing a lot of stuff from his base.
I think
they want this guy to be appointed, and they don't care, just like they don't care what he does. They just look at the agenda. For those people who think that he's going to reverse Roe versus Wade, they want him on the bench. They desperately want him on the bench. He pulls the nomination. Some of those people will not be happy.
Yeah, but guess what? They have tons of other judges that want to do the same damn thing. A list of them that would do the same thing that Kavanaugh would do, and do what Trump wants them to do. I mean, I don't understand
know about
this.
That. I'm not so sure there isn't a litmus test for anybody who's getting nominated. I'm sure that in a private conversation, he was asked that question. You know, what do we do about abortion? And that's why he was potentially one of the reasons why he was picked. He was also, remember, he was a political operative.
Yeah.
He worked in the White House for President Bush. Bush 2.
And Bush hates Trump, so it's sort of weird. But
why do you think Bush hates Trump?
Oh, well, did you hear Roger Stone talk about the Bushes and Barbara Bush and all that? Oh, yeah.
But Roger's got feelings about everybody.
Oh, I'm just saying, I mean.
That's why he has a tattoo on his back.
For Nixon, that's right. Give me that gin martini.
But, some of the things that Roger said resonated with me. I'm concerned, not to change the subject, but I'm concerned about what happened with Clapper and what was going on in the last administration with monitoring our phone calls and our activities. And there was a show on, it was either yesterday or 60 Minutes, that said something about Google, if you want to know anything about a person in Tennessee and they're 24 years old and you're trying, they know.
Yeah,
whoever the ubiquitous they is. I don't know who the they is.
Big Brother.
But, yeah, well, not necessarily Big Brother, but certainly Eisenhower, you're looking back, and I remember Eisenhower. Looking back at Eisenhower, he was saying there's a military-industrial complex that's running the show. Oh, did you see the movie Wag the Dog?
Yes, I did.
That was a great movie with Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, I did see that.
Great movie. They made up a war.
Yeah.
And when they wanted to get attention to, be patriotic and vote for the guys that are in, there was a war. When they wanted to show how terrific it was, the war ended. What did they do? They just stopped the war.
They stopped it.
It was about Albania, an Albanian war, and nobody was fighting in Albania.
Ridiculous.
The Albanians weren't exactly involved in any war efforts. But the fact of the matter is, that's what happens. People create. That's why they call them spin doctors.
Yes.
And the reality here is that we don't have any privacy anymore. I'm personally concerned about it. I have been. I read the book 1984.
So did I.
And I also read Machiavelli's book, too, because Roger really believes in that.
Didn't read that one, but 1984 was you had to read it in high school. I read it as a senior in high school.
Yes.
And it's crazy because I'm like, no way is that ever going to happen, but it's worse.
Happening. What are you talking about?
It's worse than 1984. I mean, believe me, it's scary what's going on in our society. With the phones and all this, and it's crazy, man.
The only thing you could do is move it to the woods in Appalachia or someplace without a phone, and hopefully maybe nobody finds you there. Not that I'm recommending people run away. Not that I'm recommending. Well,
I'm going to an island.
No, I saw this wonderful series called Ozark.
Yeah.
In fact, I mentioned it to Roger last week. It's a very, very, very good show.
Right. Yeah. Well.
But the fact of the matter is, we don't have any privacy anymore.
That's scary.
And because we have instant gratification of things, and it is instant, it used to take a while to find out whether something was true or not. Now it's instant. You go on the internet.
I know,
and find
Judge.
out.
I talk about it on my show all the time. It's sad. It's I don't say heartbreaking, but it is heartbreaking to see our society go the way it's going.
Did you ever see the movie Pleasantville?
No, I didn't. Oh, is that the one where it was black and white and then it went to?
Yes.
Yeah, I did see it with Jeff Daniels.
Yes.
Yeah, I did see it.
We'll mention that after the break.
All right, cool. It is For the People Judge Herb Dodell. If you want to email him, somebody emailed the judge, for Christ's sake. It's askjudgeherb@gmail.com. Askjudgeherb@gmail.com. He'll answer whatever you want to ask him, right? Almost every time.
Almost every time. Almost everything. Every time. I haven't answered some, I admit.
All right. We'll be back after this.
1050 AM, KCAA.
Did you ever meet a lawyer that was for the people? Someone who had the best interests of the people at heart? Herb Dodell has been a lawyer for more than 50 years and has been a Superior Court judge for 9 years, having presided over more than 9,000 cases. In this show, he will reveal the secrets of how things really work in the legal system, so you can maximize your position and benefit most when you're in trouble and need someone on your side to simplify the process for you. For more information, email the judge at askjudgeherb@gmail.com. That's askjudgeherb@gmail.com.
Okay, Pleasantville. it's kind of interesting because I come from a town that's about 4 miles from Pleasantville. I've been there many, many times. It's an interesting movie because it talks about the way things were in the 50s. Maybe it was black and white, and maybe people did things slowly and deliberately and somewhat in a restricted way, because that was the way society acted. It was like Ozzie and Harriet. Everybody thought Ozzie and Harriet was wonderful. I think they got divorced. I don't know. I'm just saying that.
I don't think they did.
I'm just saying that. But the fact of the matter is, there was a time, and I grew up in a small town. There's 6,500 people, so it was not a big metropolis. We knew everybody. And I didn't lock the doors.
That must have been nice.
It was wonderful. I had a great childhood.
You're lucky.
We rode the bike. There was no sidewalks in a lot of places. We all got along with each other. We knew everybody. It was a different world.
Yes.
If you wanted to make a phone call, you picked up the phone, and a lady got on the phone and said, okay, what number do you want? You told her the number, and she dialed it for you. It was a switchboard. I remember when I worked at Lord & Taylor, which is a department store in New York. I was a store detective, believe it or not. I was horrible at it. I was always distracted by all the pretty girls. So I wasn't doing a great job. But they had a room with a switchboard, and it was a whole wall that handled all the company's business. And it was easier. Now, it's easy. You get what you want right away. It goes into the spiritual principle of cause and effect. Now, we have talked about cause and effect a number of times. Things happen because you create them. You create them in the position of cause, and ultimately the effect comes later on. You may win, you may think you won. If you did it the wrong way, and if you did it the dishonest way, and you did it for your own ego, you'll pay for it down the road. You won't recognize it because maybe it's 5 years later, 10 years later, but it happens. You say, why did this happen to me? It never happened suddenly. So the Creator created time. Time was a space between cause and effect, which gave us all an opportunity to correct or to redesign whatever we had planned for our movie, because we created that. And so time used to be real time. It used to take a day, a week, a month, whatever it is. Now, instant. Absolutely instant. And getting more and more every day. So I like the movie Pleasantville. In fact, my wife bought it for me one time. So you like it so much, you should have a copy. And yeah, it was traumatic in the sense of that movie, that things had changed and all their lives had changed. But at the end of the day, you still can't avoid what the subject of this show is about. And that's called morality and integrity. It's about the greed and the power and the things that go along when people are in control. And one of the big problems here is we're facing that right now. Assuming things turn out to be evidence of misconduct or misdoing or impeachment of this guy, people should stand up and say, we're not going to do that. It's like that old movie Network. We're not going to keep doing
Mad
this.
as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, you know what? We should. There comes a time for morality and integrity, whether it's on the bench or it's in a business or it's in a relationship. That's what it's really all about. At the end of the day, greed, ego, and all of these things are our enemies. They are the elements that destroy us at the end of the day. So for these people who are sitting in the Senate right now, no matter where you're from, they have to recognize you got to do the right thing. And if they ignore the results of an investigation that shows that this culpability or otherwise, the right thing is to not vote party and politics over what's good in the world. It's to take care of the people who elected you to begin with.
They're going to do what their party tells them to do, Judge.
Maybe not.
But just come
on.
Well,
one of the reasons Flake is doing what he's doing, I think, is because he's not running for re-election.
Yeah, he's not running for re-election.
He don't care whether they like him or not.
Yeah, he doesn't care. And then the ladies, Susan Collins and
Lisa Murkowski.
Yeah, I mean, those are going to be the key votes.
Yeah, well, if they go against the establishment, they'll be a chairman of the toilet committee. They're not going to have any positions of anything, and that's the trade-outs. That's what's wrong with the Congress. It's too much dependent on what you do and how loyal you are.
Let me ask you a question, and I talked about this on my show this morning. Do you think there should be term limits for senators, and Congress?
You once mentioned that on one of our shows. The answer is I don't know, because there's something good to be said about both positions.
Judge, we had senators on that judiciary hearing
40 years
that were a part of the Anita Hill hearing, and Justice Tom. That's too long. I mean, they're out of touch, man.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I've mentioned it before that I have a fraternity brother who's a U.S. senator. He's Senator Ben Cardin from Maryland, and I've known Ben and Myrna for 50 years, and this is his third term, so he's going into his 13th year or whatever it is. Never changed his attitudes. Always a man of great morality, great integrity, there for the right reason. So
it doesn't mean
that guy, he could stay on. He's totally mentally competent. I spoke to him not too long ago.
Well, that's good to know.
And, some of those guys, Strom Thurmond, remember Strom Thurmond?
Oh, yeah.
He was like 98 years old and chasing some of the women pages around.
Well, I would be too at 9. I'm on my last legs. If I'm 90, I'm going to be chasing all sorts of skirts.
Well,
give me a break.
The bottom line really is you cannot paint with a wide brush all of these people as they should be kicked out because they've been there long enough. Bennett had all the years of experience and all the exposure that he's had, which made him a better senator.
Well, my point being is this, okay? You got 6 years in the Senate, okay, and then 2 years for the House of Representatives. I mean, the reason we're still in this stalemate is because we don't get any turnover. It's the same old, same old, same old. And if we had turnover, maybe there'd be different views and different vibe, and it would change the dynamics of Congress. That's all I'm saying. Maybe not. I don't know.
It's nothing different than moving chairs. You do this for 6 years, you're out because you got termed out. Like I got just termed out from I was a director at the university, but my term ran out. And so I've lost out the opportunity to be involved, and they've lost out with somebody who's willing to contribute time and effort because there was a term limits. And the fact of the matter is, so 1 week you're a senator, the next week after you term out, you become a congressman or a mayor. Look at Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown was the mayor. Jerry Brown, I was once on a plane with Jerry Brown to Hawaii. He was wild.
I bet he was.
He was running. We got off. When we landed in Hawaii, I was on the plane with Pat Brown, and Jerry came to pick him up at the airport.
His father.
Yeah,
okay.
His father.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting next to this guy, Pat Brown, for like 5 hours. He was an interesting guy, by the way. I liked him. Thought he was very intuitive, and I thought he was a good politician, as politicians go. The problem with politicians is they're always looking for re-election.
Right.
And so your term limit argument makes some sense. If they can't get re-elected, then maybe they'll call it like they see it.
I mean, look at Trump. He's doing these campaign rallies already for his presidency for 2020. I mean, as soon as these guys get elected, they start going after the re-election. That's why nothing gets done. They're more worried about being re-elected than getting anything done for the American people.
That's mainly, I shouldn't say mainly, that's true to some degree. But there are people who have strong senses of morality and integrity. They're not all bad people.
Don't say that.
And a lot of people go into the Congress for the right reasons. Like I know one of our friends is running for the House of Representatives from Tennessee. He's a good guy. He's been around a long time. He's smart. He's got good motivations. His name is Justin Canoe. I'm going to try to get him on the show, actually.
Cool.
He's running for Congress for the right reasons. And a lot of people don't care that you're not going to make a lot of money, although they're looking forward because they become lobbyists.
Yeah.
You know what some of these guys do, gals do, when they get out of politics here? They
become lobbyists.
They know everybody.
Exactly.
And so that's part of the
deal. They
deal.
get paid off by the big pharma companies and the big oil companies and the big businesses and stuff like that. So it's just a big payoff.
No, but it's on both sides. It's not only the Republicans.
I didn't say. Did I say? I said all of them. They're all crooks.
It's corrupt in the system.
They're
That's
all
why I'm hoping. I truly am hoping. Maybe I'm an idealist, and I think I am. I'm hoping that everybody abides by the outcome of this investigation. That people say, if it turns out he's what they say he is, this should happen. If it turns out there's nothing to support it, even beyond what's a prima facie case, then the result should be the other way around. We really should take a stand on doing the right thing this time. We now have literally a black and white situation. We have one side saying one thing, another side saying another. And at some point in time, we, as people who do evaluations, that's all I do is evaluate testimony of people. Who do you believe? and you have criteria, you have feelings, you have gut, visceral senses of what things are. But the goal is always to do the right thing. I tell a story. I had this woman in Beverly Hills when I was sitting in Beverly Hills in small claims court there. She was the most annoying woman. She was culturally, she was screaming and whatever. She actually started to walk toward the bench. The bailiff had to grab her. She was just horrendous, and I sure as hell didn't like her. But guess what my result was? For her, because she was right. And so we're supposed to do that.
Right.
We're supposed to ignore the political ramifications. We're supposed to ignore the personal feelings that we have. We're supposed to ignore our biases, and we all have biases of one kind or another. And we're supposed to look at it as it is, based on the burden of proof of what's admissible evidence and what people should follow, because that's the law. And nobody is above the law. We're here fighting for the principles of law. Would this guy support the principles of law? Not my call. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. He said some things which were troubling, as I mentioned earlier, who was behind the attack on him. But
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Be that as it may, the fact of the matter is, how fair do you think he would be if the Democratic National Committee was filing a lawsuit against somebody? What do you think the chances are this guy's going to be straight in the middle? None.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why he shouldn't be a Supreme Court justice.
Well, that's not our call.
I'm just saying that's one of the reasons he shouldn't be.
It's up to the president. If the president sees that he
doesn't care.
Oh, yes, he does.
He cares about his own issues and his own agenda.
Well, that may be true, but he definitely cares.
Of course he cares about his own agenda. He doesn't care about what's good for the American people.
He cares about the base.
He cares about his own agenda, his own legacy. He cares about his own legacy. That's all Donald Trump cares about.
Well, maybe.
Oh, come on.
That may be true, but the bottom line is the Constitution provides for a procedure for us to do what we're doing right now, but the procedure has built into it implicitly is a moral sense of doing the right thing. That's what we're here for, to do the right thing, to be able to express ourselves honestly and fairly, and for people to judge us accordingly.
Amen.
That's what being a judge means, to me, anyway.
You should be on the Supreme Court.
No thanks. I'm too old.
Well, look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's
older than I am.
She's like
not much.
She's like a billion years old, isn't she?
No, she's 84, I think. Look, I know a lot of people. My wife's aunt was at the house yesterday, and she's 95, and she's running around. She's had all kinds of appointments. You know, it's all. My wife always says age is just a number.
It is.
So I want to keep the number low.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why we do what we do.
Well, we got to bet on it. Bottle of gin.
I'm looking for Tanqueray 10, not the regular
Tanqueray 10. Okay.
Not the regular Tanqueray, because that's not as good.
All right, just tell me what kind of gin you want, and I'll buy that if I lose. If he's not confirmed, okay, then I get you a bottle of gin. And if he is confirmed, the most expensive Patron tequila you can get.
I'll be over at Bevmo looking for the cheapest.
No, you won't.
Cheapest tequila I can find.
Just bring me the receipt and I'll return it.
Right. Yeah, knowing you probably would do that.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm not that cheap. I'll be drinking that stuff. All right, margaritas. All right, it is for the people of Judge Herb Dodell. And check out his YouTube videos, Judge Herb Dodell.
And the book.
From the Trench to the Bench, available on Amazon. Great show. Spirited show, Judge. Let's go have a beer. All right.
I like beer.
I love beer.
I love beer.
I still do.
You still drink beer?
I still do. Thank you.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you start up with capital, business strategy, sales, and marketing, and establish your company with a physical location or an online presence on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. Then American Business Trust can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com. Or call them at 657-600-1876. That's American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They'll help your business right away. That's American Business Trust Company. Online at abtrustco.com. American Business Trust Company.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them